All right. Sorry there, people, for the late start. Just had somebody at the door and had to go see who it was. Anyway, here we are, Sunday, usual time. And where'd my camera go here? Of course, we're going to be... there we go. We are back. Super. All right. So, as usual, our computer has generated a switch list for us, and looks like we've got a fairly decent switching session happening. Maybe before, we'll leave it till the end. I was going to talk about the upcoming project and the addition to it, but that's fine. We'll talk about that near the end. See if anybody actually shows up to the channel here today. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to be doing our switching with our little GP9 TT here. And it's called TT because of the tubes that are, the air tubes that are on top. They look like torpedo tubes, thus the TT designation for torpedo tubes. So without further ado, let's get things started up here. And we'll have a look at our switching list and see where we're at. I seem a bit disorganized again today. The other half's back over in the UK visiting with her kids and grandkids, but also with her dad, and her dad's got a little bit of medical issues that he's dealing with right now, or they're dealing with right now, and hopefully he's going to be okay. Seems that their health system over there is buggered up, kind of like ours is here in Canada, or Ontario. But hey, I wish him all the best, and for a speedy recovery as well. So let's see where we're at here. We have got 2 covered hoppers sitting over here in the east view, sitting in our east engine shop. I call it an engine shop, but could be whatever you want. And one of them, car number 059, which is the one that's in the deepest in this shop, of course, has got to go to our cement factory, which is down the line. But we also have a covered hopper down there in the cement factory, and it's got to go to the outbound track. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull these 2 covered hoppers here out of the east end engine shop, and then we'll do an uncoupling, grab the one we need, and do a runaround. Head down to the cement factory. We'll grab the one car, pull it back, and take it out to the outbound track, and then drop off our new covered hopper back at the cement factory. So here we go. I think the guys in the welding shop can stop welding. We can do without that noise right now. That's one of those things that's on my to-do list, is dropping the volume down on the welding. But I got to pull the building out and get at the MP3 player that I've got programmed in there. Not a big deal. It's just one of those things that, got to get at. It will happen, much like everything else. Do-do. So on our little GP9 TT here, we do have a remote operator standing on the front of this. So this is a more modern setup. Typically the remote pack operators are on something probably more late 80s to now. And I just thought it was something interesting that I wanted to do with this GP9. They go by the designation, or the modern ones that they were doing at CN did, went by the GP9 RM designation, and they were reworked back in the late 80s. Because they were trying to extend the life of their fleet. I didn't think we'd couple up there, but I thought I'd give it a shot anyway. There we go, we've got it now. So we'll sound our horn for safety again. Try and do it right. Get my auto-tracking camera back online here. Well, not online, but tracking me. And I do have to remember to turn that AI tracking off, because when I go out of frame, it tries to stay at my last location, which is not a good idea when I come back into frame. So this other covered hopper that we've got has got to go to the welding shop. I'm just sitting here giving some thought how I want to go about doing this. But we'll find out shortly. I won't concern myself too much about it at this stage. So what we'll do is we'll take this ADM covered hopper. We're going to back it up. We'll uncouple. Make sure we leave enough room in case somebody has to get into that turnout at all. Mike, how are you? Thanks for dropping by. We got the session started here. We're doing a switching operation today, as usual. I'll run through the I guess formalities. I have a computer that generates a switching list for me. I randomly grab cars from that from my roster. And now here I am talking and not paying attention to what I really want to do. And I put it into the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet's got a formula in it which generates starting location and destination for all my cars that I have sitting in that spreadsheet. And it's never the same. In fact, as I add vehicles, it randomizes the switch list for me on the fly until I've got all the cars in that I'm looking for. And then that's how I start my my switching session. Is I print that switching list off, and the switching session could go 15 minutes if it's a real simple operation. If not, then it could be an hour, or it could be 2 hours. I just did have a session there a couple of weeks back that ran for 2 hours. But sometimes it's just me. I'm quite well, thank you, Mike. Still a little cool in the weather here in southern Ontario. Dreary day here today. We've got rain happening, but it's better than snow. I'll give it that much. I'm just going to try and set up my other crossover here, double crossover on the other tracks, so we can get things done ahead of time, hopefully. I run on this T-track setup. Basically, that's all it really is a T-track setup. There's, well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 double modules and a single module on this. Then I've got a wing on the my left, which is, I call it the west end. Enfield, buddy, how are ya? What happened to the Reds there yesterday? My goodness. Yeah, the T-Track modules are quite nice for me anyway. I like them because when the other half decides that she wants the entire downstairs room back, I can easily disassemble this and just move it. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but you never know with other halves. Yeah, I used to have, Mike, I used to have a very large N-scale layout some 35 plus years ago, and when I got separated back in the day, I tore it all down and didn't put anything back together for about, well, till about 2.5 years ago, thereabouts, and thought, yeah, I'm going to retire and start up the hobby again. So I thought, this time I'll build T-Track modules, because that way I can take them apart and move them when I want without too much of a hassle. There's no T-Track clubs in my area here, which is unfortunate, but really doesn't matter anyway, because I'm not fully committed to taking my modules to shows and doing a setup. But that'll lead me into another discussion later on dealing with Freemo, which is the kind of the HO equivalent in a roundabout way to T-Track. I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to use Hand of God and move my little switcher back a little farther. I parked it there because I thought, I might need it later on, but then I saw the switch list and I thought, I don't think we really need it after all. And I mentioned, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that I run DCC here, and the manufacturer, if you want to go down that road, is DCCEX, and I run with, well, today I'm running with my GP9 stack, Wii throttle or Y throttle, however you want to pronounce it, and it's talking wirelessly to my DCC system, and all my functions are programmed on the push buttons, which are on the front of this guy. And I've got a 9-notch throttle. Sorry, I gotta reach over here. I figured that was gonna happen, that I went back just far enough that I'd end up coupling to this guy. It's gonna be a pain, but we'll get there. There we go. I probably derailed you as well, didn't I? Okay, time for a bit of a sip here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the ADM covered hopper here on the front end of our GP9. Yeah, they're sitting on folding tables. I've got guess it's a 8-foot table and a 4-foot table. And again, from the aspect of if the other half decides that she wants me to move them or take it down, heaven forbid, and put it somewhere else, I can easily do that. I'd love to use the garage, but being here in Canada, Ontario, the biggest problem is the winters are so damn cold, and it's really, really damp in our garage. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to do that. And I am not going to add a heater to my garage. I may be retired, but I'm not rich. So our game plan here, as we go along, hopefully... Hey, Mike, Mustache Mike, how are you, buddy? Had a busy night last night with Kevin and Jay. Hang in there, people. Not all of my switches have remotes on them just yet. Well, they do, but I I just don't have them fully wired. So everything on the west end here doesn't have switch activations yet. So I've got to manually set those switches. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. I know Mike from Maryland is good. Mustache Mike, hopefully you're doing well. Sorry, I'm just looking down the track here to make sure. I think we've got this car. We'll find out in a second. Yes, we do. All right, good stuff. So the aim here is going to be that the car we're pulling out from the cement factory, we're going to spot it on our track here, just in front of the cement factory, and then we're going to drop off the covered hopper that we just pushed in there. We'll drop him off at the cement factory, and then we'll reattach to recouple to our other covered hopper that we just pulled out and take him to our outbound track at the far end. Oh yeah? Good stuff, Mike. Mustache Mike, that is. Gonna have to be careful which one I say Mike to, I guess. Where'd you get it, if you don't mind me asking? Mike from Maryland. Hard decision. Depends on a number of factors, I would say. I mean, if you've got the room, build a slightly larger layout. Check and see if in your area there are any T-track clubs. And if there are, then that opens great possibilities for you, because you can get together with some of those people and you know, bounce off some ideas. And then if they've got a location where they do setups for T-tracks, you can always join them that way, knowing that you've built to a T-track standard. And mine is built to a T-track standard, so all of my track is at the proper distance. And theoretically, I can go to a show and take these and hook them up. The only reason I hesitate on when I say that is that my switching layout, which is what this whole thing is based on for me, is I would have to literally make sure I go to the show with my three main modules, which are sitting directly in front of me. Oh, good. And because my switching portion wouldn't be able to hook up to anybody else's T-track module, but my front two tracks on all of my modules definitely will hook up to other people's modules, because they are set to that standard. Nice. And Mustache Mike, great. Hopefully it'll arrive without any damage, and then you'll be a happy camper. Bear with me, folks. Hold on to your hats. I just have to go down to the outbound track and uncouple. So I will be right back. Entertain yourselves for a couple of seconds. All right, we're going to pull this covered hopper back, and we're going to have to do a couple of runarounds here. Well, a runaround for sure. Oh yeah, Klondike. Yep. Yeah, you're fortunate. He does a live broadcast periodically as well through the week, and I've attended a couple of his live broadcasts. Nice guy. Klondike's a really nice guy. Before I got these modules that I run, I was going to order some from him because they look like really nice modules. But in talking with him, he says the duties and tariffs and all this crap, we're going to make it just cost prohibitive for me to buy them, which really kind of sucked because I was looking forward to getting them. So further hunting, I ended up finding Precision Model Railroads, which is a Canadian-based company, and let me think about what I'm doing here before I get too crazy. Too late, I'm already crazy. He would build the modules again, much like Klondike would, to your specifications. In other words, depending on the depth that you're looking for, and again, that's a variable in T-Track. You can have, I think it's a 10-inch depth and out to, I believe, 16 inches in depth for your module. And that's probably the only thing that you need. I'm going to have to move this guy because I wasn't thinking this morning when I started up. Again, the only difference there is how much scenery do you want in the background of your T-Track module? Are you going to go with some sort of a theme that you want to build to? About a ton of little variables out there that you want to consider when you're dealing with your module. Your smallest module will be a 12-inch module, and I mean, even in N scale, it sounds like a 12-inch module would be big, and it's really not. It's a pretty small module. So myself, if I were going to do this, my recommendation to you would be to build get a double width module, which is 24 inches, 24 and 5/16, I believe. T-Track's got some bizarre measurements that they end up using, but you could build your own modules, but I think to be honest with you, I don't think it's a cost-effective method of doing it, because if you're going to build to the standard, you've got to have all the equipment that you're going to require to build to that standard. So anyway, I was saying that I bought from a company called Precision Model Railroad, or Model Railroad, here in Canada. Let me, before I get too stupid here, he's got to go to the welding track. He's got to go to the cement factory. Oh, we should have dropped him off earlier. That's fine. We'll take care of that. See, that's what happens when you start not paying attention to your switching session, is you get yourself all buggered up. But it also extends how long your switching session goes for, because you have to correct all your stupid mistakes. Anyways, as I was saying, I would recommend a 24-inch wide module. And that's what you see for the most part when I get this. Which one of my cameras will give you the best view? I guess none of them really. Where we are right now, that camera that the GP9 is at, let me get my pointing stick of God here. So the GP9 is sitting here. The front end, which is just at a camera view, is about 1.5 inches from the end of my one module here. This module ends, see where, okay, the little, I call this my east maintenance building, and about 3 inches to the left of that is the end of a 24-inch T-Track module. Good size module, gives you the ability to build some nice scenery there if that's what you're looking for, and have enough track to actually do something. And again, the beauty of right now, literally, I could move any of these modules into any position, but what I end up doing is breaking my switching setup here. But because I don't run on a loop on my setup, it really doesn't matter. This was just my way of getting back into model railroading, back into N scale, and having the ability to run something. And anybody that's been to my live streams in the past, and please don't take anything I say wrong on this. I feel that it's great that guys run trains in a loop and just let them run and have this ongoing discussion with the audience. But to me, I feel a model railroad or a railroad in general should have a purpose, and the purpose for my railroad is a switching network or a switching setup. So anyway, let me correct my problem here that I created because I was too busy talking. Shock of shocks. We get our light set. There we go. So we'll do this up properly this time. Well, as properly as I can say. Yeah, T-Track is a lot more popular in the States than it is here in Canada. Now that being said, I know there are some provinces or some cities that do have a good following of T-Track people and clubs. Just in my area, we don't have any. But again, as I said, I built this not necessarily to go to shows, but if that opportunity happened. Well, my entire layout, to be honest with you, Mike, is, well, I've got 3 double widths, that's 2, 4, 6, 8 feet long, plus a single, so that's 9 feet, and then I've got a 4 foot long fiddle yard, I guess, just an area where I can put cars when I'm doing the switching sessions. Otherwise, I'd be stuck because I wouldn't be able to move them to where I needed to move them. But even my 4 foot section for what I call my outbound track is detachable, and it's got folding legs on it, so I can just take and disconnect on the fly and fold it up and put it away. It's only, do I have a tape measure here? No, I don't. I think it's only 10 inches wide, so it's not a very wide yard that I have down there. But as I say, for me, it gives me a place that I can actually take my cars to and drop them off. Again, using the spreadsheet that I'm using, I have a designation for all cars called inbound and outbound. So that inbound and outbound option randomly shows up again on my switching sheet, which again, if you look at the sheet, you'll see it, I think, on the end there, or at the bottom. I think it says inbound, outbound. And that's just part of my setup, the way I run it here. So we're going to try this again. We've got to get this Conrail covered hopper. And before I forget, I got to flip that switch. Get that covered hopper into our welding shop. And for those who haven't been here before, the welding shop, if you're looking at the middle camera view, will be this building right here. I'd like to kind of build a story to everything that I do here, but I'm too lazy to do that. I mean, as it is, fortunate enough that I have a switching sheet that tells me what I need to do. Today's whiskey, by the way, is Lafroig Oak Select. for those of you who might like whiskeys or old enough to enjoy them. That's one of my other hobbies. I've got a collection of whiskeys. Nothing fancy. They're all single malts for the most part. There's a few that are blended, usually my Irish stuff, but regardless, it doesn't really matter. In my opinion, all whiskeys are a blended whiskey, and the reason I say that is simple, because typically a whiskey doesn't come out of a single barrel. It comes out of multiple barrels, and it could be, if there's an age statement on a whiskey, example would be a Laphroaig, you could have a 10-year-old Laphroaig whiskey, but that 10 years just means that's the youngest whiskey that's in that bottle. There could be a mixture of 20-year, 25-year, 30-year-old whiskeys in there. So to me, as I said, I feel that all whiskeys are a blend. I'm just trying to think, Mike from Maryland, if there's a way that I can swing a camera down there, but there's no easy way for me to do that. I could take my West End camera, I guess, at my extreme left and just kind of see if I can do a pan with that. Bad enough trying to figure out how to do camera setups on this thing the way it's set up currently. Oops, why did I manually change that? Duh. Now we're going to see if I've got enough room here. May have to end up pushing these 3 boxcars that are sitting at the cold storage facility. I'm going to have to bump them down. I've only got a couple of inches, but that might be enough. That might give me enough room to get this boxcar and the GP9 in there. Again, not paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, that's again, that's the beauty of, what the heck did I do here? Why did you all quit? As I say, the beauty of T-Track is that it? I just created a short circuit. That was interesting. Good old DCCEX saved my bacon there. Yeah, the expandability, you're not committed, like once you've set your layout with something bigger, it's often difficult to expand it without having to rework all of your scenery, which can sometimes be a pain in the butt. And, oh, I know what happened, okay. And the ability here with T-Track to swap them around as you see fit really makes the whole concept a lot more fun. And I mean, it becomes slightly expensive in the fact that you're using Kato track for everything. But again, the nice thing is everything is to a specific dimension, and very easy to figure out, especially if you're using trying to think of the name of the software I was just using upstairs. Oh, AnyTrack. AnyTrack? I believe that's the name of it. Design software for making a layout. And they have the Kato modules in there. So you could set up a module in their software and then start putting down the tracks the Cato tracks, and it has the part numbers on it. So you'll know exactly the part numbers that you're going to need to build your T-track module, which is really nice. All right, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. I swear we're going to get there. Oops. Well, we were going to get there. I said we were going to bump these cars. I didn't know we were going to collect them. That's coming down the road a little bit. But again, Mike from Maryland, don't get me wrong. I think that building T-track and running, I mean, you could easily do a door-sized layout with T-track. You could easily take two 24-inch modules, well, 4 in total, and then 4 end modules in total again. So that would take your track 90 degrees, and then 90 degrees again to the back two 24-inch modules, and you'd need 2 more end modules to bring it 90 and 90 again back to the front module. So all very doable. Yeah, that's the thing right now is modules in general are expanding, which again is going to lead me into a discussion that we can have at the end of this switching session. Because I'm working with the manufacturer I got my modules from here in Canada to build a more open, shall I say, module for Fremo, and yet be compatible with Fremo, and hopefully potentially be compatible with T-track or Fremon, which is the N scale version of Fremo. But they're standards. I mean, it's a nightmare trying to read through all their documentation on what's required to do certain things. And that's why I'm kind of looking forward to this new venture that I'm going down the road on. Pardon me while I just update my sheets here so I don't forget what I've done. And we have one car that's already down in the inbound, outbound. Remember I said the computer knows where the cars can go. It gave me one covered hopper down there that was on the inbound track, and its destination was the outbound track. So there's no sense in moving it at all, so it just ends up staying where it's at. So we've got a few more moves to go here. We've got 3 cars sitting at the cold storage facility, which is here. And we've got 2 of those cars. I got to look to see which ones they are. 2 of those cars have to end up going to the East Maintenance Facility, which is this building here now. And then the third one is going to the co-op, which is way down at the end, on the west end there, our Happy Farmer Co-op. So I got to pull all 3 of these guys from where they are anyway. A 00. Okay, 897 is the one that's got to go to the co-op. So we're fortunate he's this one right here. And the other 2 don't have to do much switching around. In fact, they can stay kind of attached to the way they are because they end up going to this building here. So that's going to be an easy move. Yeah, Mustache Mike, and that's the thing with the standards, right? They're nice in the fact that they're standard, obviously, but they have some limitations because they constrain you to adhere to the standard, which, again, is fine, but when I was just at our local train show last weekend, and there was a Fremo modules set up there, and I was looking at it and I'm going, that's great, but Fremo states that your module has to be 24 inches deep, and that your track, your HO track, is at the center line. So at 12 inches, that's where your track has to go. What you do with it in between, like the entry point and the exit point of your module, is up to you. So it can curve out, you can have turnouts in there, whatever, but it has to be on the center line. I'll get you in a second on that question, Mustache Mike. If you've got a double track in Fremo, your modules have to be 26 inches deep, and again they run on the half inches off the center line from each side, so they're still running pretty much double right down the center line of the module, which to me is a limiting factor. It's kind of like at the T-tracks here, although at least we have our T-tracks within like 2.5 inches of the front edge of the module, or whatever the spec is for that. But that leaves you an entire back section of building your modules. Okay, Mustache Mike, you asked a question on the sign. Depends which sign you're talking about. If you're talking about the little overhead road sign here, that's just a highway sign, and I've got random text that goes through, says no texting or stay alert, have a nice day, whatever that one is. The far one on the west side by the co-op is the Happy Farmer co-op sign, and that one's probably more in focus than the highway sign is here. But I just put those in just so that they had some animation within the, yeah, here we go. The highway sign is no texting or dialing. And that'll run for about 40 seconds and it changes. So I've got it randomly picking messages that I've typed into the Arduino, the Nano. And same thing on the Happy Farmers Co-op down there. It's just random text that come, not random, I mean I've put in whatever the scrolling text is, but it randomly picks whatever it wants to, including sometimes nothing, which is fine. I've got a color version for the Happy Farmer Co-op that I built, and I just haven't gotten around to building the rest of the stanchions down there for it. In fact, that's the Happy Farmer the color version for the Happy Farmer one. I can't program, so don't ask me to do stuff for you. The thing is, I can build stuff. That's not the problem. It's the programming that's the problem. And I either ask a friend who can do it when they've got time, or I've been using, for a lot of this stuff, I've been using ChatGPT. But I've been learning with ChatGPT, you've got to be very granular in what you're asking it to do for you. Why did we just hesitate? Oh, we had a slight derailment there. That would be why. I probably did that earlier. Yeah, when I uncoupled. Yeah, you've got to be very, very granular with ChatGPT when you're asking it to do things. I actually had it build the code for me for block detection, and it took me a week and a half. Yeah, I need a 6-year-old, you're right. It took me a week and a half of redefining stuff within ChatGPT to get it to understand what it was my envision was to do. So I had built a prototype on just a piece of 1x2 wood and put 3 aspect lights on, and the idea was that it was going to be a 3 aspect, 3 block detection system for a single track, not double track. Originally I started with double track, but I thought to make life simple, what I'd do is ask it to do it all based on a single track, and it had to be bi-directional, so it had to be able to detect trains coming and going. The Closet Branch, how are you? How are you doing today? So yeah, you're teaching the AI what to do and how to deal with it. But it's also teaching you how to interact with the AI. And I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of all the AI that's out there. Well, okay. Now, why? Which one of you is causing me grief here now? Somebody's about to derail. I'm just not sure who it is. Yeah, I mean, shit. I'm 71 years old, and I don't know if I've got enough time to. One of these guys is locking me up. I don't know who. It's him. The white boxcar, of course. Yeah, I don't have enough time to sit there and learn all the complexities. When I saw the code that it wrote for doing block detection, I was like, no, I could start out with the include statement and that'd be about it. But it got really complicated really fast. But again, that's what I asked it to do. What I would do is I would take and I would load the software into the Arduino and come on, don't fight me, coupler. And then I would test it, and I would test everything on it, literally. I would go through and try every combination of my approach in and out of the blocks. And note, I ended up making a chart of the light conditions that were happening on the 3-aspect lights. So as I entered a block, was I getting the right LED light to light up? When I cleared a block, was I getting the right light on the second block? And was the first block responding correctly to that? And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I was reporting back to the AI exactly what was going on, and it would go, yeah, that was, it would literally say, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Let me rework, kind of basically it was, let me rework the sketch for you and we'll correct that. And but like I said, speed matching is a pain in the ass for sure. But again, the problem becomes, you've got to be really, really good at coding to be able to do that. How is the Closet Branch doing today? I hope all is well with you. Just trying to get these switches set. And then we can bring this guy back, because we got to end up getting that on the front end of the switcher here. But yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun getting the AI to create the stuff I wanted it to. As I say, it was a learning experience for me as much as it was for the AI. And again, me being the sim. Now, I'm an ex-IT guy, but I'm a hardware IT guy, so that's just kind of my background. Like I said, I can't code, but I can troubleshoot software. The silly thing is, I mean, working with the AI for as long as I was, you get to a point where it frustrates you as the end user as well, trying to solve the improper reaction that the software is giving you. And after a while, the frustration level makes you apologize to the AI for, sorry, I didn't, I should have said that in the beginning or something along that line. And I was doing that with the AI. It was, and so, oh, there's no need to apologize. So It's just silliness, but it's a lot of fun. It was, as I say, it was a learning experience, and I'm still doing it now. I'm still going through some of the software and making changes to things. I want to build, as I say, I got another project that's related to those that weren't here last week. I'll introduce the first part of my next project, which is I finished last week, before I show you the second part. Second and third part, I guess, technically. I want to build some slow motion switches. I don't want to buy tortoise switches. And yes, I just kind of, it's going to be HO, by the way, but that's really neither here nor there. It's cheaper to build slow motion switches than it is to buy them, especially if, again, for example, in N scale, you don't have the room for these large tortoise contraptions that they've got. Nothing against them. They work. They're well engineered. We had them at our club as well, and that's all fine and good, but with the small size that you can get servos these days with metal gears in them, it's quite easy to build a switch machine. But again, what I wanted to do is I wanted to use an Arduino to control the servos through momentary switches. So last night I asked, and I haven't tested the software yet, I asked ChatGPT to generate a sketch for me running an Arduino Mega, because I needed the Mega because I've got so many pin outs that I need for this, to have push buttons control slow motion, or to control servos for slow motion switch machines for model railroading. And it generated the code, and then it always asks you at the end for improvements that you might like with your whatever your project is. And LEDs was one of them, and I wasn't even thinking down the road for LED indicators at that stage. And I thought, yeah, LED indicators would be good. So I had it redo the code to add in the LED indicators as to the straight through or the diverging tracks. And it did it. It was all fine and good. It was super. It did it. And then me being me, instead of running two LEDs, one green, one red, I thought, why not get a bicolored LED and have it do it that way? Because then you eliminate one pin on two LEDs. And you can get a bicolored LED with 3 pins on it. So I should clear the air on that first. But what I wanted to do is I wanted a bicolor LED with 2 leads on it, because then it's polarity dependent. Which way you plug it in, you'll get a color one way, turn it the opposite way, you get a color the opposite way. Cool. Okay, well that's great. So I re-asked ChatGPT to use bicolored 2-pin LEDs to do the lights for me, and it did it. So again, I've saved myself a bunch of wiring that has to happen, and kind of consolidated the control panel a little bit in doing so. But again, because it's going to be a modular system that this is going on, I have to be aware that depending, and it's, again, I'm kind of basing it on the fact it could be Fremo, but it's not. But with Fremo, the module can be, the front could be where I'm sitting now, or you could take that module, spin it around, because the track is based on the center line of the depth of the module. You could spin that entire module 180 degrees. So now you need to have the controls on what would technically have been the back side of the module. Hold that thought, I gotta throw a switch here. We're down at the co-op, and I gotta get this covered hopper into the co-op. And down at the co-op sign, Mustache Mike, right now it says grains, oats, barley. I can't remember what all I programmed in here. And hops. The reason I have that one in there is because for all your distilling or home brewing needs, you gotta have fun with your model railroad. If it's not fun, you're doing it for the wrong reason. Come on, uncouple, damn it. Don't, there we go. Okay, we're back. Yeah, well, I'll be curious to see your video, Closet Brand, because I want to break out my airbrush, and I've got an HO locomotive that looks too pristine. And we all know how that is. I like subtle weathering on my cars. So I usually just do, on my N scale stuff, I do powder. So the GP9 that I'm using today has just got some light dusting of powder on it. And it just breaks that solid black that you've got on there. This guy as well. I'll show you the top. You can see just a light dusting of powder on there, weathering powder on there. And I like them that way. I don't like it too... I mean, I know modern railroads have got graffiti all over some of the locomotives and the cars and whatnot. I'm just not one of those people. I don't like overly graffitied vehicles or locomotives, rolling stock. Sorry, not paying attention again. What is Fremont? Fremont is Fremo is HO modules, and you can look up that standard. Fremont is N scale modules that are different than T-Track. There's still a standard that they adhere to, but it's different than T-Track. The only thing I can tell you, the best way to do it is to look it up online, because it's for me to explain it without pictures, it wouldn't do it justice, and you'd be just more confused than you would be if I should do a video and get some graphics and do it that way. But yeah, that's what I said earlier. The problem is there's a whole bunch of different standards out there. Oops, going the wrong way. A whole bunch of different standards out there right now that people are doing, and not to the detriment of the hobby, but it will get confusing to people. It's nice to have the standard that you're building to. Okay, I'll state that as the baseline. But as I said earlier, the problem becomes you feel quite constrained when they tell you that your mainline track has to be this distant from the front edge. Again, if that, not paying attention, Russ. On the Fremo standard, I'm going to talk HO because it makes it easier for me to discuss it that way. On the Fremo standard, as I said earlier, your track has to be, or your module has to be 24 inches. All right, Mustache Mike, you guys have a great one. Or you guys have yourself a great one. And hopefully we'll see you next week or online at Kevin's site. By the way, another great HO/N-scale modeler out there is Kevin's Tiny Trains, and he runs some very long sessions. In fact, I think he went almost 3 hours last night. Him and a guy from down in the States somewhere. I can't remember what. Oh, he's from... No, he's not. Don't know where he was from, but he's got a great layout as well. Where the hell was I talking about? Oh, Freemo. Yeah, what they do is they end up having you have your modules, 24 inches deep. That's the standard. It has to be from the front edge of the module to the back edge of the module is going to be 24 inches. Your track in Freemo has got to be at the 12-inch mark of the module. So literally the center line of your track has to be on that 12-inch line. Can't deviate from that. It has to be there. Now, if you've got double track, then your module changes in size from 24 inches to 26 inches because you have to accommodate for the second track that's there. But again, it's going to be in the center portion of the module. What you do with the other portion of your module, front to back, is up to you, but the track has to be to that standard. And Fremon is very similar. It's just a variation. Yes, I remember Jim, but I can't remember where the hell the guy was from. But Fremon is very similar in its structure as far as where a track has to be laid. But again, as I said, T-track is not a whole heck of a lot different because your track is here. It's, don't even have a ruler down here. I'm ill prepared for this stuff today. Anyway, but your track has to be like 1, 2, 2. It's about 2 1/4 inches from the front edge. It has to be that standard so you can mate to other T-track modules, or in the case of a Freemo module at the 12-inch section, you'll mate to other track or other modules. Let me get back on, speaking of which, on track here. The company I'm working with right now in helping to develop another currently Freemo standard, not Fremon, but we can go down that road at some point anyway, is using 2-inch centers and still being compatible with Fremon in that, okay, your module may be set back from the front edge of a Freemo module, or it may be set forward of a Freemo module, depending on where your 2-inch track center is going to end up. But we've come up with discussions on how we deal with that jutting out or being pushed back as well with panels. Shouldn't be a big deal to deal with. But it gives you more freedom. You're still to a standard that you can attach to, but it's giving you more freedom with what you do with your track. It's difficult and confusing to people, which is unfortunate, but it's going to happen. And I think all these changes and innovations come about, we didn't couple, come about because of people see the not short-sightedness, but the constraints that you end up with a certain standard. And you got to also understand that Freemo, I'm trying to think, there's another one out there, even T-track, but I mean more so those other two were developed years ago, and you get people that got into that genre back 10 years ago, for example, and they don't want to have any changes done because they bought into it back during that time. So what we've got to do while I'm talking is that car, this is going to be our last move, by the way, which is good. Because then I can actually concentrate on what the heck I'm talking about. And no, I don't talk just to hear myself talk. I hate talking, believe it or not. Mind you, I have done true TV programs and been a presenter on stuff that way. But usually I have not a script in front of me, but I know what my end story is going to be. So yeah, we got to get this car into the welding shop. And what we'll do is we're going to shut down at that point, and we'll continue on with this discussion, if you don't mind, with in conjunction with upcoming projects that I'm working on. Now, Mike, you are just getting back. I should go back through. Are you just getting back into N-scale or model railroading in general? Is my first question. And I'll wait to see what your answer is before I continue. All right, I'm going to shut down so I don't have that engine blaring in the background, because that's our last move that we have to worry about. Beauty, there we go. All right, so I'm going to remove track power here, because I can do that all, as I said earlier. Can't remember if you were here at the time. My little GP9 command stack here, or control stack. We've got 9 notches here. There's a detent for each of them. Progressive brake, make sure I'm in neutral here. A progressive brake, so full braking, and then a forward and reverse lever here. But all these buttons are assigned to do something. And I can turn on and off track power, start locomotives, all the usual lovely things that you want to be able to do with DCC. Anyways, so let me put this guy down somewhere safe. And now I've got a tablet. Now what I'm looking down at is the tablet, so I can see what's going on. So, Mike from Maryland, back to you. What are you going to use, or what are you using to control your locomotives at this? Okay. So what are you going to do? DC or DCC? I'm looking down at the tablet. I don't have to do that now. I can look at the main screen in front of me. Makes more sense. Worst thing about doing live broadcasts like this is there's a delay between me saying something and what I'm seeing in the... Oh, cool. Okay, you've got Unitrack, so that's good. But what are you going to use for electronics as far as controlling the locomotives? DC or DCC? Don't know about stateside, but up here Unitrack's a bit on the pricey side, but everything is when it comes to model railroading. Nothing is cheap. I like Unitrack though. The fact that it is okay, yeah, power cab DCC, cool. Okay. On that note, I run, as I said earlier, I run DCC EX, the open source DCC system. Very reasonable in price. In that, I mean, in Canadian dollars, I don't know, I didn't look up what the US price was, but I bought the latest board, and it's a single board. My original setup here was the stacked Arduino Mega with a motor driver board and then a Wi-Fi board. So it was a sandwich of 3 boards stacked, one on top of the other. The DCC EX group came up with their own design for a unified board that has everything built in. And this little box, I say, may not be so little, but it's a little box, contains, for this upcoming project that I'm working on, a DCC system and accessory power over here. So you could ignore everything that's on this side of this box, because all this is 12 volts and 5 volts to control lights or switch machines or whatever you want. So realistically, the entire DCC system for me is this one board right here. It's got 15 volts coming in at 5 amps, and then it's got a track A and a programming or track B track here. You can also hook up, can't remember what it is. It's a booster basically to this connector here. But that's it. So literally you supply power in, it gives you your track power out, and that board cost in Canadian dollars, it was $155 to get me into DCC. So really dirt cheap, and a neat way to do it. I mean, this whole box literally, it's going to get loud noises. This whole box literally has, when I built it, a plug on the back. So you just plug in an extension cord on the back. And most of the extension cords have that 3-prong plug on them. So you can just plug that into there. And what I did on the side to accommodate track power and accessory power is, track power is on this guy here. It's a 4-pin waterproof connector. And I built up cables that has, basically it's 18 stranded wire for each, so it's flexible. And we just have to, the guys that I'm working with on this new module project, we just have to determine what plug we want on the modules themselves. And on DC, or for accessory power, this is 12 volt out and 5 volt out. So again, gives you the ability to run lighting or switch machines or whatever you want on it. So yeah, nice portable little system here, and literally it's self-contained. So going from that project to, as I said, I'm working with a company up here. Oh, a question, speaking of which, I've never actually seen the top of the Klondike T-Track modules. Does he engrave or laser etch? Oh, and by the way, yes, and you can run a smartphone or a tablet for DCCEX as well. So everybody has a smartphone, and the app is free. Does Klondike mark where your T-Track tracks go for your main line and your second line? I've never seen a top picture of his stuff. I can tell you that Precision Model Railroading up here in Canada he etches with his laser exactly where your two tracks need to go. So there's no guesswork or being off slightly when you lay the track down. Now, same company, I did a test build for Precision of a shelf framework that he's selling, and this isn't T-Track, but it's very close. The sides are a little higher than standard T-Track modules are, but you can see the construction. There's no screws in this whatsoever. It's all glued and I guess called finger joint, for lack of a better word. Plus he puts in holes for your wiring, so you can run wiring through to your other modules. This is going to be very similar to this project that I'm working on. So we're going to be able to go to shows with these and hook up, very similar to Fremo in HO, doing varied lengths or depths of the modules instead of being 24 inches and then running your track down through the center. What we want to do is we want to be able to make the module anything from a minimum of 4 inches wide, deep, to a maximum of 24 inches deep. And then running on 2-inch centers, put your track on a 2-inch center. So 2 inches from the front edge theoretically could be the first track, or could be at the back, or whatever you want. But again, yes, you're going to stagger these modules when you're hooking up to a Fremo setup, but it's doable. It gives you some flexibility, and we've got a couple of things we've. Okay, he does have cool. Okay, good. We do have a couple of things we gotta work through because we haven't actually built the modules yet to test our theory out on how all this is going to work. But in preparation for all this, I have, and I'm not changing. I'm going to be sticking to N scale. So don't get me wrong. I did buy. And I've taken the liberty, I've already taken the top off this. I couldn't get the DCC sound version of this, so I ended up having to spend more money to buy modules to plug into this guy. But this is the Rapido GP9. I'm going to take the body off. Rapido GP9 RM. So what I was running here today for my switching session was a GP9, but this is the chopped down hood version of the GP9. And I gotta say, Rapido has done a hell of a job making this. Their level of detail is amazing. They've got wire hand rails on it. For Canadian National, the bell has been moved onto the side, which is correct for the model. They've gotten rid of the usual exhaust and put two silencers or flame arresters on the top. But the level of detail is amazing. And once, I mean, the front end on this, I don't think the camera's going to pick it up properly, but the front end has got all the MU hoses. It's got the boxes there for attaching to the slug, because I did buy the mother and slug combination here. And again, even the slug's got all the detail on the front end for attaching to the mother. And good weight to both of these guys. I'm going to give you, and the reason I wanted this, because again, doing these modules that I'm hoping to do, I wanted a yard switcher and a modern yard switcher to boot. So what they did is they actually put the beacons on this guy, on the roof at the front and at the back, and they've got the beacons as well. Not sure if you're going to be able to see them or not here, but on the shell or on the frame, there's beacons right there. There's one here and there's one on the other side, and they're functional, which is cool. Now, amazingly, what Rapido did, and major kudos to them for doing it. Although I've got wire, and the cab has got full detail and lighting in it, but you'll notice there's no wires between. So kudos to them, and good forward thinking to them. So what they did is they ended up putting in a pogo connector, which is spring-loaded. Now this is just the receiver side, and all it is contacts there. So if you're familiar with building lightsabers at all, or for Comic-Con and stuff like that, we use a lot of that stuff, a lot of just contact areas here. But inside of this guy, and the lighting's going to be terrible for doing this, I just know it. Let me put that down before I drop it. If you look right there, now that the camera's back, so I have to spin it around. So right there are spring-loaded connectors, or pins, and there are 2, 4, 6, 7 of them. 7 spring-loaded pins up in the roof of the body. And they make contact with that little circuit board I just pointed out. So all the lighting that exists within the body get their power through the pogo connector, which is absolutely amazing. And to get at the decoder, to replace the decoder, now this is a DC only locomotive at this stage, but on this guy, all I got to do is remove that dummy plug and put the decoder in, plug the decoder in. It's one of the 21-pin decoders, so it should be fairly straightforward. Again, level of detail on this guy. When you look at the trucks, they did the traction motors on the bottom of the trucks. I mean, nobody sees this stuff, but they've got the humps there for the traction motors. They've got the sanding lines here, the air lines, or the lines for the sanders. on here as well. They're flexible, which is kind of cool. But yeah, the underbody detail they added to this thing is just phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to getting that done, and that's why I want to see some of these pictures and videos that you're thinking of doing for weathering, because this is the locomotive I want to do light weathering to. Nothing too fancy. I already did some bluing of the spark arresters on the top here. That's the only thing I've done to it, because I don't want to get too involved in it yet until I get the DCC modules installed in both that and in the slug. Get the slug up here and I'll pull. Again, I took the liberty ahead of time of removing these because I wanted to be real gentle on removal of these things. Come on. You know you want to come off. There we go. But again, their chassis is really well built. So while it's not a rivet counter detail as far as details are concerned, overall, then there's the dummy board for the decoder. Again, you look at what they did do on the bottom. Your air tanks are there and brake lines are there, and I'm looking at these things and going, should I touch them up with like silver markers and make them stand out more? I gotta find online some real pictures of the real thing, so I know that I don't mess it all up. But again, it's powered and it's got sound in it. The weight on both of these things, I weighed them this morning, is actually quite good. So they should be good haulers when I finally get the module up and running. So yeah, that's the box that came in. And no, I'm not switching to HO. It's not going to happen. I don't have the room for HO down here. As I said, the other half allows me to have what I have here. And T-Track, honestly, Mike, T-Track's the way you're going to go, man. You won't be disappointed. Build it how you want to build it. Just remember, the standard is just the standard of your front two tracks. Everything else that you've got, so you've seen my setup today. The cameras cover literally all my switching area, from what I call my east end, which is on my right, to the west end, which is on my left. And I was going to spin the camera for you, kind of give you an idea. Hang on, let me see. I'm going to take my tablet with me so I can see if I can actually do this without buggering everything up. So hold on, hold that thought. So keep an eye on the west camera facing northeast, because that's going to be the one that I'm going to spin it on. So we'll take this guy around. So down at the end, that's the end right there. You can see another one of my T-Track modules on the floor there. That's a corner module, by the way. And then swinging back, I'm going to see if I can get this thing lined back up to where I had it. So that's just my outbound, inbound yard. It gives me some place to put the cars when I'm moving them. Otherwise, my restrictions would be that I have nowhere to put them. Now I gotta remember, which way does that go up? That way. So yeah, you can imagine this module here is a 12-inch module. The Happy Farmers Co-op is a 12-inch module. So it's from here to there. So that's 12 inches. Doesn't give you a lot of room as far as building, like doing scenery is concerned, but that Farmers Co-op worked out well for a single module. And in everything else, so the next module is a double module at 24 inches, the module next to that is 24, and the other two are 24 each. So it gives you an idea of at least what my setup overall looks like, and I'm happy with it. I do this every Sunday whether there's people here or not, and I figure I'm going to do a switching session regardless. Why not broadcast it? So anyway, I don't know, you got any other questions or anything? I'll try and give you answers if I can, or if you're going to go down the road of T-Track, if that's your plan, reach out to me if you'd like. My email is in the description somewhere on the page, on the YouTube page. I do have a Facebook site that I use as well under the same name, Rusty Tracks RR. And yeah, pop on by there if you want. Drop me a message if you have questions or whatever, and I'll try and help you out as best I can. It's that's the one thing about this community, is very helpful. So, and if there are no other questions, then we'll probably just end the stream here. And, we've been running for an hour and 27. That's not bad. That tends to be about what my average is on a Sunday. But it's fun. I enjoy doing this. So once you get yourself set up, you can start broadcasting. Tons of fun. Anyways, if that's it for today, then I will bid anyone that's left adieu. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Stay safe through the week. Yes. I agree. I got to do the same thing. I got a knee that's seizing up on me. So anyway, have a great week, and hopefully we'll see you on some of the other streams. And if not, hopefully I'll see you back here again. Hope you enjoyed yourself. And hit the like. I mean, you're already a subscriber, obviously. Hit the like button. Supposedly it helps the YouTube thingamabob, but who knows for sure. Anyways, enjoy yourself, stay safe, and happy model railroading. Cheers, man.